Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Fledivicarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I want to share my thoughts on metal reaction channels.
Metal and Shaq in the building, bruh.
Nick Nocturnal and I reacted to a Bring Me the Horizon song.
What's up, guys? Back with another one. I'm Ryan. It's George.
What's going on, guys? How you living?
But hey, generally, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Now, this seems to be a pretty divisive topic. I definitely understand why most people, especially within the metal community, aren't really a big fan of the whole reaction channel movement. I mean, first of all, it is kind of cringy, especially like you see the thumbnails, especially like Alex Hefner's thumbnails. They're pretty intense, but you got to understand, like if you understand YouTube and SEO and what ultimately like gets people, what catches their eye psychologically and causes them to click it to check it out anyways, like there's a reason behind that. But even that aside, like just some of the things that they talk about, and then the fact that a lot of these people, the whole appeal is that they're not metalheads and they're being like shocked by watching metal for the first time. My first time watching so-and-so. So it treats metal as like almost this sideshow performance. Like they're going to a carnival and they're checking out the Freaks or something. So I get that. And then also, like, as somebody who makes reaction videos, I get the argument, and I don't necessarily push back against it, that it's kind of lazy content. Like, that is definitely my easiest format to make. If I want to slap together a video in like 10 minutes, I can make a reaction video. All of that plus, again, just considering that we're talking about the metal community, which just by its nature wants to be dark and intense and heavy and counterculture, and they don't want to have anything to do with like the Fine Brothers.
Wow. Dude, Pride rock.
Those things just don't seem to gel. So again, I get all that. That said, I think that they're a good thing, honestly, and I want to talk a little bit about the benefits that we need to consider as a metal community of reaction videos. So first of all, the obvious thing, if you look at the view counts on some of these videos, on the bigger channels, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of views here. What is that? That's exposure. That is exposure for these metal bands. And yeah, maybe somebody's initially clicking because they're like, oh, I want to see how shocked this guy is by this crazy metal music. How many of those hundreds of thousands of people are going to click that, hear the song, and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I want to check out more of this band. That's a potential new metal fan. I mean, honestly, that was me in a way growing up. Like, I kind of thought metal was this crazy thing, and my friend popped it into my Discman partially just to see how I would react to it, and I fucking loved it. So I just kept listening. And if it weren't for that moment, I might not be here today gushing about how I love all these amazing metal albums behind me. And ultimately, it's what the radio won't do. Like, we're in a place now where the whole scope of how music is shared is still drastically changing, and we can all sit and bitch and moan like I do sometimes about how the radio doesn't play any metal music really, except for like maybe like Alice in Chains, things that are borderline, like Metallica. They're kind of losing the stranglehold at this point because a lot of people are going to YouTube now, and if one of those ways that people are consuming music is through reaction videos, and some of that happens to be metal music, I'm for it. I was even kind of peeking around Google Trends and sort of comparing the dates of some of the reaction videos, some of the bigger ones that got posted, and then Google trending that band. And it seemed like there could be some upward momentum of people searching that band and checking out their music around that time. I definitely didn't research it enough to conclusively be able to say that, but I think there's something to consider there. Another aspect of this that I didn't even think about until I was kind of poking around was I came across this article that was talking about a similar topic, and one of the things they pointed out was it was useful to hear an outsider's perspective on this music. We kind of get in this bubble where we're not necessarily picking up on things that other people outside of that bubble are picking up on. So sometimes these commentators, these reactors, if you will, are going to make comments that kind of are helpful to musicians in terms of something that they may not have noticed, or something that another metal reviewer might not have talked about that is a valid point. Most of these reactors, if you actually watch their videos, like they're not really shitting on metal. Like there's some aspect of it where they're playing it up and how crazy and how heavy and loud and everything is, but I find a lot of channels, especially like the one that caught my attention first was Lost in Vegas. And they have some pretty thoughtful discussions around the songs afterwards, and they're pretty fair and balanced. They don't just sit there and go, oh, metal's so stupid. Like, no, they're sitting there and they're having good conversation about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they might have been more interested in hearing, and sometimes walk away with, like, I want to hear more of this. They're even walking away with new experiences, and I think that's really cool, and to see that on camera is pretty interesting as well. So the thing is, this is really just bringing more opportunities to us as a community that we normally didn't have. This is a way for bands to get shared out to a much larger audience than ever would have been possible without these types of channels and without this platform. Now, talking a little bit about why I do the reaction videos, because they're not my favorite piece of content. Again, they're like a nice, like quick, easy way to get something up, but that's not why I do them. Ultimately, I do the ones on the bigger bands because that brings eyes and ears into the channel that I can then expose to more underground stuff that they wouldn't have otherwise heard. And I only do that really with bigger bands that I'm interested in. Like the most recent one at the time that I'm recording this was for Gojira. Gojira dropped their new single for Another World. I was really genuinely interested to hear it, and I was going to watch it anyways. So I'm like, shoot, why not record it and share my thoughts on it? And it ended up doing pretty good for the channel. It's been one of my higher viewed videos for the month. But obviously, like, Gojira doesn't need my help to share out their music, but a lot of people like Gojira. So they like Gojira, they go searching for it, they see my video, they check it out. Hopefully they subscribe, they stick around. And then phase 2, the more important part, is then it's just another way for me to share out quickly other bands, songs, albums that I want people to check out, because I get so many requests on a regular basis that there's just no way for me to do full reviews of every single one of them. I wish that I could, but it's just not possible. It's an opportunity for other people to hear a song and check out a band that they might have otherwise missed. That's also where the whole Best Metal on Bandcamp series was formed, so that I can just quick form check out some stuff that is way underground that other people probably wouldn't have seen otherwise, and get that content out there while still putting together all of my other kind of more time-consuming stuff. So all in all, I consider it a net win. Again, I get the criticisms, and there are aspects of it that make me cringe and wince at times too, but ultimately, I think that these reaction videos should be embraced. Now, I do think that there's ways that they could be better, that we could improve the formula, and so, first of all, I think the most obvious thing is let's stop reacting to the same 5 bands. So if Alex Hefner, the guys at Lost in Vegas, No Life Shaq, Vin and Sori, if by some strange reason you happen to watch this, there's a whole world of metal beyond Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica, Pantera. Like, there's so much more out there, and everybody already knows about those bands. You could have just as wild a reaction, in fact, probably more jaw-dropping reactions to some of the crazier stuff out there. I'm talking Imperial Triumph and Portal. Bands that most of the people who watch your channel have no idea about, because they already know about those bands. Even if they don't listen to them, like they've already heard of them. So this could really be an opportunity with the amount of subscribers and the amount of people that watch your videos. Not only could you be continuing to draw that audience that is interested in seeing how you react to this crazy, wild music, but at the same time, you'd have this additive value of sharing this more obscure stuff to your huge audience and giving these bands that are just like totally, maybe even a complete unknown, because I've come across plenty of bands that put out a really cool music video and nobody sees it. And it's like that whole thing, if a tree falls in the woods, nobody hears it, does it make a sound? You would have an opportunity to give that tree a sound, to make sure people hear that tree in the woods. And so please consider sharing some more obscure and wilder stuff. And by all means, like, there's plenty of people out there you can reach out to that are going to help you kind of crowdsource who to check out next and other content creators. I mean, yours truly, if you really want to, but I'm not the only one by any means, and I'm no expert. So yeah, those are my thoughts on metal reaction videos, and it's just something that's been floating around in my head, and I thought it would be fun to do a video on it. So if you're interested in this, if you enjoyed it, not only comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole topic. Do you hate reaction videos? Do you love them? What do you think about metal reaction videos in particular? And also, I have another video on elitism and whether that's good for the metal community. And so if you liked this one, you probably like that video as well. And also, speaking of underground and obscure metal bands, stick around for that as well, because I've got tons of videos like I've been alluding to this whole time. Reviews, roundups, tier lists, podcast interviews with all these amazingly talented metal musicians that just deserve so much more attention than they sometimes get. Also, in the description, you can find links to all of our social media, the email newsletter, our Patreon and Subscribe Star if you want to make that extra jump to becoming a supporter, and metaltrenches.com where you can find even more reviews and content. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.
What the hell is this? Who is this?